I just watched this version. And how's it compared to the theatrical version? Stay tuned and find out. Just recently, I watched Anchorman 2, The Legend Continues, supersized version. Now you may have heard of this from the advertisements. For 1 week only in theaters, they released the Anchorman 2, Legend Continues supersized version, which was a movie that was almost 2.5 version of this movie that was almost 2.5 hours long, with some cutout footage, with some old footage, with some new footage as well. Some of the footage from the theatrical version cut out, replaced with some footage that wasn't used. It was probably originally deleted. And of course, 763 new jokes. And how does it work? Well, to be honest, until it reached the last third, I thought it was actually going to be a little bit better than the original theatrical version. Now, I don't remember much about the theatrical version, but I do remember that I actually was laughing more with this one than the last third. Then it slowed down. I think that's how it worked with the original theatrical version, is I was laughing more in the first 2/3, then the last one hit, and thus it slowed down big time and couldn't really pick up from that. All it did was it just ended on a reasonably satisfying note, and overall, yeah. What I think of this version, the theatrical version, I gave it a 4 out of 5, and I thought it was entertaining. I thought there were some good jokes, and I do feel like it was entertaining for the most part, but at the same time, it just wasn't the original Anchorman. I've seen the unrated version. They actually showed it on TV. And I own the original unrated version. And it's fun, you know? Who doesn't like it? Now this version of the second movie, this is actually rated R. I mean, the original's unrated, but you know it's R rated for the original Anchorman. This one is rated R. It's official. The MPAA rated it. And how does it work? It works fine. To be honest, there's not a lot of change. To be honest, there's some things like, okay, how to get the R rating. It's really more evident through some points in the film whenever they use the F word, and in the last third during that news fight scene, they actually use a lot more violence. And I admit, okay, I see it, but it's not too terrible. I think mainly it's because of the F words. They use them like 3 times, I think, or whatever, or maybe more. It had to be more than that, because I mean, yeah. Anyways, how does this version work? Well, compared to the original, I think these are both on the same level of how good they are. Like with the original version and, of course, this one. However, because there's both things that hurt this film, that is their length. Now, the original version's almost 2 hours long, but this one's almost 2.5 hours. And does it work? Well, for the most part, it does. But when it gets to that last third, then you realize, okay, it's overstaying its welcome. Now, there's no denying that there is one scene in the last third, both in the last third works, which is the news fight scene. I mean, who doesn't like that? There's a lot of things that changed from the original version and this. And that is, they extended some scenes. Some of the scenes from the theatrical version were deleted out, and they altered those scenes. They put in some stuff that wasn't used in the original version. And, of course, they basically used that same shit. They sometimes extend some scenes. There's even a musical number, and I actually thought that was kind of entertaining. I really enjoyed it, for the most part. It's over the top and silly, but, that is Anchorman. I mean, Anchorman's known for just being nonsensical and silly, and it works perfectly. Some of the lines, however, there are things that somewhat derail this version, and while I do admit it was going off pretty promising, it got to a point where really that when it gets to the last third, some lines that I could quote from the theatrical version, they weren't really there. They just weren't really quotable. They were just they're just new scenes that didn't have much of a necessity to it. Like I said, you obviously know about the subplot of the son. That obviously was there. Ron being blind again, that is in this version, and to be honest, you could have just cut those out. I mean, if you're going to make a supersized version, I mean, there were some jokes there. There were some jokes they cut out, such as the theatrical version, Ron asked, like whenever they released the Shark Dobie, like if he ever was, if he was looking back at them. Also, the ending was changed. Brick, you also know that Brick and... Who's Kristen Wiig play? I'm amateur, guys. I do kind of want to know her name. Wait, do I have it? Chani. Yeah, I knew it. Chani. I actually was kind of getting it wrong when I was thinking about it. But yeah, it's Chani. They married. They look into the camera like a fourth wall break. They even make a fourth wall break at another point in the movie, like during that time when when Ron realizes that the car chase is not news. And when they're talking to each other, they're just making a box office joke. Yeah. This one was a success at the box office, I'll give it that. They do change some lines and some scenes from this movie. They extend some scenes. Does it work? Sometimes it does, other times it doesn't. The last third is when you can see it's more of a mix between the two. Sometimes it will hit, other times it won't. It's a back and forth. It was more of a hit. It was more hit than miss in the first 2/3. I thought it worked good there. I thought it was entertaining. Just, it didn't have to be that long. It could have been at least 2 hours 15 minutes maybe. I don't know. The original theatrical version is with Baxter, like they Ron finds Dobby, well possibly like a shark that he thinks is Dobby. He swims out to the sea to meet him. The shark attacks him, and well, obviously so Baxter comes and saves his ass, and so they float back, and you hear that same song, like that end credit song. It's actually the same in this one and in the supersized version. The supersized version ends when the credits start happening. We obviously know that they obviously know the theatrical version happens after Baxter saves his ass and they float safely, and of course they're floating safely on the water. Yay. And also the beginning, it's completely different. It goes straight forward, like introducing Ron Burgundy with the supersized version. The original theatrical version introduced with him being attacked by a shark. He comes out of the water, because the shark just comes out of the water being crazy and just stops abruptly. Crazy, and also the insanity ensues. And of course, it just stops abruptly. The narrator happens, and of course, it just cuts to the beginning. Yeah. Also, they do extend some scenes. There are some scenes that are actually pretty damn funny, like involving horse piss. Oh man! You can't really always satisfy everybody with a new cut. I mean, the original Star Wars trilogy has been redone over and over again. I mean, if I heard about the original theatrical cut, actually a Han Solo shot first, but now this common belief is that Greedo shot first, because that's how it is in the original. In these new versions that people watch today, they don't have access to the original 1977 version really anymore. I mean, some do, but at the same time, why don't they give us that? Why don't they give us the versions like 1997? I mean, those aren't really good. I mean, Jabba the Hutt, holy crap. We can actually say George Lucas was kind of in his prequel phase during that, or maybe he was more in the prequel phase during that. He wasn't in the original trilogy phase. Yeah, that's all they can do. That's all they can modify those and fix them and give them back to the original form, like the way fans want it to be, or like diehard fans. Maybe Han shooting first. Because if that's how it was originally supposed to be, then why don't you do that? Come on. Both the theatrical version and supersized version do have issues of their own that make them don't make them masterpieces. This one doesn't, a supersized version looks like it was going to hopefully improve upon the original cut, and unfortunately the last third was unfortunately a flaw, just like the other one they had. They kept the scene with Ron being blind, and while they did retain some of the jokes, some of these new jokes, some of them they worked, some of them didn't, and overall, I do think it's just, you don't have, it's not desperate. I mean, I know it's on Netflix right now, same for Anchorman 2, but you don't need to desperately watch it. Now, these scenes don't really drag out. Some of them are a little long, but overall, they try to add something to them that keeps them kind of going. But, yeah, whatever. I still enjoy this cut, don't get me wrong. I did enjoy it. It's just I enjoy it on the same level as the original theatrical cut. Maybe a little lower. A little bit. Just not too much. That cares. I'll give them equal, because, no cuts, no film's perfect. And also the style of Anchorman is supposed to be nonsensical and silly. It's just meant to be funny. These guys, the news team are idiots. It's just meant to be funny. Do I recommend it? Yeah, sure. Especially for that musical number. And there are some jokes I thought were good this time. I thought they were entertaining. There were jokes that worked. Some of these new jokes, they did work. Yeah. 4 out of 5. It's not fantastic by any means. It's an okay edition. It isn't as... It's kind of on the same level as the original theatrical cut. I would recommend... if you want to get it, sure. I don't really care. That's just me. But whatever. Okay, guys, comment below. Have you seen the supersized version? What do you think of it? How would you compare it to the original theatrical cut? And, do you hope for an Anchorman 3? Because I kind of don't really.
I mean, if you're gonna close off, I mean, like the original Anchorman ended with them kind of starting off like broadcasting news together, and if they're supposed to do some sort of arc relating to that, then maybe they should, or maybe they already kind of in a way did that with Anchorman 2. Though, what am I saying? This is one of the best comedy sequels I've ever seen. Don't get me wrong; it's on my top 10. It's on my list of favorite comedy sequels. It's actually a good one. Some people don't like it. I understand that, but to be honest, I don't know why people are so pissed off over it. Sure, it's such a long wait, but I was a little angry. I was a little disappointed, but I didn't hate it. I still had fun with it. I mean, that's just me. That's just my opinion. Okay, you have your opinions. I have mine. Anyway, guys, comment below. Subscribe, check out for more videos.